Hi everybody, my name's Alex. I'm going to show you today how I make some bicycle wheel weather vanes for some artwork that I've done through the years, and maybe teach you guys how to do it so we can get more of these out there. Basic process, and you can see many of my other videos that show some of my artwork with these wheels, but I take bicycle wheels of different shapes and I add, it's basically just foil tape to the wheel and turn it into a fan, essentially. There's lots of different ways you could do it, but I've done a lot of trial and error and figured out some techniques that I think work really well and can let anybody take any bike wheel. It doesn't have to be anything decent at all. It can be a really cheap wheel, and you can turn it into a piece of artwork that will spin in the slightest breeze for years and years in any weather. So basic, you got to start with a wheel. It can be any wheel. We're going to get to this one in a second. This one's extra special, but most bike wheels, regardless of the quality, most of them come in with different spoke lacing patterns. Anybody that knows wheels, knows bikes, is going to know all about that. And this is not a tutorial about spoke lacing patterns or how to build a bike wheel. That's a whole different subject. Nevertheless, there are different ways you can put a wheel together. This is a very typical one. It's what we call 3-cross. Every spoke crosses 3 other spokes on its way from the hub to the rim. And it leaves this pattern where all the spokes are going basically on a tangent to the hub. What we're really looking for is the pattern this way. We want to make fan blades out of some of these areas in between the spokes. And once we decide our pattern, we want to go in between these spokes, or say these spokes, and go this way. However, then we start laying some simply foil tape on top of it. I've done quite a few of the 3-cross. My preference, though, honestly, is to do, and the easiest thing to do for a bike wheel, are radial laced wheels, where everything radiates out from the center hub nice and straight. It's really easy for making a fan. You'll find some bike wheels like that. This one I just made specifically like this. This one's actually being rebuilt from another project I had. This one's a little extra special. This one's huge, by the way. First off, this is a 36-inch wheel once it's all assembled with a tire, but it's a really big wheel, custom made really for this project I'm doing. This particular one, I'm going to turn it into a fan blade, essentially, put it out in the wind on some public art projects here on the Beltline in Atlanta, and it's going to generate its own electricity and light up a special tail section that I have made for it. Essentially, it's a big weather vane, and it's going to spin in the wind. It's going to generate its own electricity, light up this sign that says Bike ATL. I've got 2 of them on the Beltline. This one needed some repair, so I'm redoing it. So we're going to go through building a weather vane essentially out of this wheel. It helps to just kind of clamp the wheel down, give you something solid to work with. I use foil tape, literally metal foil tape. You can get this any hardware store. It's 2-inch foil tape. Honestly, I prefer the 3-inch, which you can, if you can't find it at a hardware store, you can custom order it online. The 2-inch will work fine, but the 3-inch is what I've got a lot of. I'm going to start with. You can get different types. This is aluminum foil tape. This is copper foil tape. You can get stainless steel. The aluminum is the easiest to work with. It's the cheapest. I mean, I do use a lot of copper. We're going to use a lot of copper for this. But to start with, use the aluminum foil tape. It's a lot cheaper. Again, I prefer the 3-inch wide ones. What I do is I take it and I start cutting small sections, 3 to 4 inches long. So I've got these little squares, little rectangular bits of this tape, all ready to go. I've got it in aluminum, I've got it in copper. There are 2 ways I can lay this foil tape on here and turn these spokes, the way they're laced, into a fan blade. One, I can lay it over like at this angle, essentially. The wind's going to hit it, it's going to push it that way. But we can also do it just on these spokes and push it this way. That's pure choice. Any way you would like to do it is perfectly fine. I should note before we even get into that, when we're looking at the 3-cross, these spokes are arranged in lots of different ways. You can pick different areas to make a bike wheel windmill sort of thing out of. I'll use over tape for an example. We can lay this tape on, say, these pairs of spokes here. Now they do this twisting as they go to the hub and everything, but it makes a nice little area that's curved like a fan blade. You can put it on here, fold it over. When you peel the backing, you just start sticking it on. Just like that. We're going to go through it a little bit more detail in a moment. This is just an example. And you repeat that process down the line. And you make a solid fan blade. And then you can come over, you can repeat it on the same pattern over here. There are other areas on a 3-cross wheel that are not parallel, but in the same, plane, if you will, of the fan blades. We can do that here, we can do that here, we can do that here. I've even done some when we started doing it really down in here. That's a lot of work. Today we're going to do the radial laced. So let's go ahead and put that back in there. This is a Schmitz Dynamo hub. What that means is, Schmitz is the brand name, of course. Dynamo, so it makes its own electricity. And we take our foil tape and we put it on. You don't have to go crazy close to the hub. It's going to be hard to work down there. We stay off at least half an inch or so. And I put it around and I stick it to itself. And I fold it over here. And I stick it to itself. Fold a little flap over. Alright. We're going to repeat that process. We're going to repeat that process a lot. The first pass, I generally do everything in that plane. That is, these rectangles, they're all essentially perpendicular to the way the spokes are going. Now the way the spokes go to the hub, they twist a little. It's not a perfectly flat plane. They do curve. And so the foil will have ripples. It will have some minor waves, other things like that. It just doesn't sit down flat. That's alright. Doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect it much long term. We're going to kind of burnish some of that out a little bit too. So again, more copper foil. One word of caution, these foil pieces, especially the thicker copper, especially the stainless steel, unless you get it very thin, they are extremely sharp. When we move on to later steps, I'm going to be using gloves, leather gloves, because the edges of this foil, they will cut you. So again, we lay it on here. I will overlap just a little. I'm trying to end up with one last piece close to the nipples of the spokes. And don't worry about it, being too conservative on your tape. Overlap if you need, put extra tape on there. We're going to be adding a whole lot of tape on here. Anyway, so that was our first piece we put on that 45-degree angle. Now we're going to just lay this on here. Again, right on top of it. Fold the corners over. And you can pretty much guess from here, it's just a matter of repetition. We got to do this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. This one was a special built one. Otherwise, I try to get a just cheap wheel. Like you really just need. Ideally, you need something with normal cup and cone bearings. For those who know bike wheels, cartridge bearings. I don't love them for this. You really kind of, because there's not much load on the wheel when it's up there spinning, there's no bike rider on it, there's not all this weight on it, you don't need to tighten the bearings very much, and so I prefer to leave the bearings a little loose so that it'll spin more freely. If the axle is too tight, it'll never start spinning in a light breeze. There's a lot of resistance to get it going. So you keep the bearings a little loose, well lubricated, but they dry out pretty quick, but as long as it's still moving all the time, they do well. Storms all the time. I mean, I've got artwork on the Atlanta Beltline. This is outdoor corridor. That's this old rail trail. And I've had, they've been up since 2012, and it's 2018 now. So. Alright, I'm going to flip it over and put the tape on the other side. 45-degree angle. This is a little tricky. Not that hard. Just got one in there. And fold over the corners. To keep things tight. Put that down. Repeat that process. Alright, it's time to balance. So, typically, again, I just do it on a normal truing stand. The size of this wheel means it doesn't really happen well. And again, because of this hub, I have to let it spin on something. So I've just stuck a skinny little Allen wrench through it, got it hanging from some string. And we're going to use this to balance our wheel. So we put it on here, let it find its low spot, and we're going to use pennies. Alright, so clearly this is the heaviest spot over here. We need to put some pennies on there. We're going to take several, at least. And we're going to tape them on. To start with, though, we're going to take a few pennies and we're just going to stick it into this piece of copper. 3. We'll stick it right here. Probably not enough to do much. So let's put it over here and let's see where our center of gravity is. Yeah. I think it's all balanced. It's ready to go on the wheel, on the frame. So we want to put a frame on here. We need something that's going to hold it. You can use a bicycle fork. So this isn't big enough for this wheel. But the idea, of course, is it comes down and grabs the hub, bolts it on, and use that to hold it. Once you do that, you got the wheel here. You need something coming off perpendicular to that as the tail, the downwind part that's going to steer this to the wind. There's a variety of solutions for that. What I've done lately for a lot of my wheels is I had these pieces of metal just simply bent at a metal shop. There's just galvanized steel, made these little U's out of them. And what we can do is we put this over and we make a hole and bolt it through there with the bike quick release. And then we can hang something right here. Now, importantly, you need to hang kind of right in the middle. You want to minimize the gyroscopic effect, so you want to hang in the middle. Then you can drill holes up this, and you can make a tail piece come off of this. And that's it. Once you have the tail here, it's hanging from there. That's it. But for this one, we're going to do something a little different, because this one's going to generate electricity. So this is the tail piece for this wheel. This is one of the biggest ones I've ever made, so it's huge. If you think about it, so the wheel is going to go right here. I'll show you that in a minute. That's downwind there. There's a large weight, 10-pound weight, simply to hold this together. This is actually a pair of crutches, so aluminum tubing that I've hooked up with a heavy-duty all-weather swivel. Sheet metal, aluminum sheet metal that I hand cut this logo out of, and the other says Bike ATL, and then there's a plastic backing that's spaced off that helps catch the light. These two sides, the wind essentially goes straight through here. There are 2 bike lights on here. They are LED lights that when I spin the wheel will light up. So let's start assembling this. Now, well, you can see that in there. When we spin that, it starts lighting up. Now, what you can't feel, but I can feel, is the breeze coming off this thing. When it's spin like that, I mean, it's putting off a lot of air.